So this is actually a part of section 3.3, but I wanted to do it on a separate page because it would just be easier and it takes a little bit more space. So the first thing I did was I actually went to your homework and I kind of took a question, and I'll do it with you, and then you can take this idea and do it on your own. So I went through if you read the question, heights of men on a baseball team have a bell-shaped distribution with a mean, so I'm going to copy that down so that I have it, of 172. And they have a standard deviation, so I'm just going to abbreviate that as SD, of 5. Using the empirical rule, what is the approximate percentage of the men between the following data points? So what we need to do is we need to find the data sets of different things. So I'm going to kind of draw on here for a minute so that way you can see what I'm talking about. So we need to find these values all the way down. We have the middle one. The middle one is just the mean, so we know that this one is going to be 172. And then we need to find the ones going up as well. So it looks like a lot of work, but it's really a lot less than you think. So it's just, all this is a formula with Greek letters in it. I know it looks scary, but it's really not. All it's saying is the mean plus or minus 3 times the standard deviation. So that symbol there, that theta is standard deviation. So theta equals the standard deviation. And it's standard deviation of 3 theta plus or minus that, and then 2 theta. So I'll write this here, mu is mean as well. And then just theta by itself, which would be this one right here. And because I did plus or minus, I already included this side over here as well. So I'm going to come over here onto this side, and I'm going to do, I'm just going to write plus 3, if it'll let me. I'll just do it this way. I'll do 3, 2, 1, 0, and then 1, 2, 3. So these ones here are positive, and these ones here are negative, so we'll just subtract these. Alright, so we have the mean and standard deviation already here. So all we're going to do is we're going to do equals the mean, and because it's plus 3 times the standard deviation, all we have to do is plus times 3. Plus times 3 times the standard deviation, so 3 times click the standard deviation cell, and there you go. So that means that the value here, give another color out, we use green, that means that the standard deviation at this point here is, or the empirical rule, so the value at that point is 187. And then we're going to do the same thing, so we're going to keep going. Now we're going to do equals the mean plus 2 times the standard deviation. Just enter. So at this point here, we have 182. And I'm going to go ahead and do all of them just so that we have them and then we can answer the questions. So equals the mean plus 1 times the standard deviation. So if you want to do 1 times, you can, or you can just do plus the standard deviation. So at this point right here, we have 177. Alright, so then this one is just the mean, so I'm just going to put equals the mean there. So now we're going to subtract. So I'm going to do equals the mean minus, and you can do 1 times. I'm just going to put in the standard deviation. And there's my value. So my value right here at that point is 167. And then I'm going to keep doing the same thing. So equals the mean minus 2 times the standard deviation. And I'll write those values over there in a second, equals the mean minus 3 times the standard deviation. Oop, why did it tell me false? Oh, I have an equal sign in there. And it's alright if you hit the wrong thing, just go ahead and fix it when you see it. So this value here is 162, and then the value at the very end is 157. So if you give me just a second, I'm actually gonna kind of erase some of this because there is a lot here and it's kind of hard to read. And I'll rewrite it on here so that way you can see it, where each value is. All right, so this point here is 187. This one is 182. Here we have 177. And then the very middle point is 172, which is just the mean. And if we start subtracting, we have 167. I know it's hard to read when I write over the words. Then we have 162, and we have 157. Okay, so the next thing that the question asks is, what is the percentage of men between the following values? So the first set of values that it asks about is 157 and 187. So we're going to come here and we're going to look and say, okay, this is where I have 187. So my 187 is all the way over here. And then 157 is all the way over here. So if we kind of follow this nice line right here, it actually tells us what it is. And it's 99.7. So the empirical rule says that if you have two values at the -3 standard deviations and the +3 standard deviations, then you have 99.7% of whatever you're using. So in this case, it would be 99.7% of all men fall between those two values. So then the next part of this question asks, how many men are between 167 and 177? So I'm coming over here and I can look at my values over here and I say, oh, it's at 1 here and 1 here. So I have 167 right here at this value and 177 right here at this value. So again, I can follow this little curve thing here, and it says that it's 68%. So basically this is saying that all men on the basketball team have heights that fall between the values of 167 and 177. There's 68% of them. So 68%